Every weekend, Cheung Chau Island becomes a paradise. Families with luggage crowd the pier. Street vendors sell fish balls until the lines stretch into the road. Tourists snap photos in front of Pak Thai Temple. Sunshine, sea breeze, mango mochi. This is where people from Hong Kong escape the chaos. But if you walk along Tung Wong Road all the way to the end, you will discover another world. Past Tin Hau Temple, walk east for another 5 minutes. You will see a cluster of low-rise buildings backed by green hills. Facing the west, Lama Channel, with the most stunning ocean view on the entire island. It is called Bela Vista Villa. The name means beautiful view. The irony is, this elegant name carries nearly 4 decades of Hong Kong's heaviest collective trauma. 28 buildings, 250 units. What should have been prime vacation property? But by 2011, at least 26 units had witnessed tragedies that could never be undone. And that number does not include what happened after. Why did a vacation resort with a breathtaking ocean view become what people in Hong Kong call the Forbidden Zone? Tonight, we try to piece together this mystery. To understand Bela Vista Villa, you must go back to the summer of 1989. In June of that year, a 35-year-old divorced woman took her 14-year-old son and rented one of the units at Bela Vista Villa. Local rumors say she was once the wife of a pharmaceutical company owner. But after her marriage fell apart, both her life and mental state spirals downward. She first ended her son's life. Then she changed into a set of bright red traditional Chinese clothes and red embroidered shoes. And then she chose the path of no return. Why red? In Chinese folk belief, red is the color of extreme young energy, but it is also the color of becoming a vengeful ghost. Tradition holds that those who die in red carry exceptionally heavy resentment, and their spirits cling to this world with unusual persistence. This rumor planted a curse over Bela Vista Villa that would last for more than 3 decades. But what truly terrified people was the chain reaction that followed. After this case, Bela Vista Villa began to exhibit a chilling pattern. More and more broken souls deliberately sought out this place and chose to end their stories in the same location. In psychology, this is called the Werther effect. When the location becomes strongly associated with a certain kind of tragedy, it generates a deadly copycat magnetism, drawing more desperate souls to the same spot. Bela Vista Villa became an inescapable vortex of negativity. What drew so many people to choose this place, one after another? First, the psychological effect of geography. Cheung Chau itself is already an outlying island, and Bela Vista Villa sits at the eastern tip of Cheung Chau, far from the pier and away from any crowds. For those seeking to escape the world, this island within an island offered exactly the isolation they were searching for. Second, the fatal temptation of the view. Bela Vista Villa faces Tung Wan Bay. The ocean stretches wide open. The Cyclone Channel is laid out before you. Psychological research shows that many people, in their final moments, long to see something beautiful, as if hoping to close the chapter of their lives surrounded by beauty. The unbeatable ocean view at Bela Vista Villa became a deadly attraction. Third, the management vacuum in the early years. Local rumors claim that in the past, renting at Bela Vista Villa required little documentation and no strict identity verification. While this rumor is hard to confirm entirely, it does explain how so many tragedies occurred without anyone noticing beforehand. By the 2000s, Bela Vista Villa developed an extremely rare rental policy in Hong Kong. Landlords refuse to rent to single individuals. One news report documented a 23-year-old man in 2010 who, knowing the policy, went to a supermarket first, bought several bags of groceries, and posed as a family just to successfully rent a unit. The tragedy still happened. Think about it. A business willing to turn away single customers entirely just to avoid risk. This reflects just how unbearable the terror at Bela Vista Villa had become, even for the landlords themselves. But tragedy never stops because of a rule. Over the years, residents have reported experiences that defy explanation. These experiences eventually became the paranormal signatures of Bela Vista Villa. The most common complaint involves televisions. Residents say that in the middle of the night, the television will suddenly turn itself on. They clearly unplugged it, but the TV will still change channels on its own. The screen flickering erratically, unresponsive to any button on the remote. Even stranger, some people hear faint whispers coming from the television, but they cannot make out the words. Another widely circulated experience involves slippers. Residents say they kick off their slippers randomly before bed, but when they wake up, the slippers are neatly arranged, toes pointing toward the door. On the surface, this detail sounds almost warm, but the horror lies in what it suggests. Someone wore those slippers during the night. Someone wanted to leave. Leave to where? No one knows. In recent years, reports have surfaced that some unit numbers at Bela Vista Villa have been altered. Even haunted property databases can no longer accurately identify which units were the site of incidents. Local rumors have long claimed that some landlords, in order to rent out units where tragedies occurred, secretly changed the unit numbers, making tenants believe they were renting a safe unit. We will not comment on the truth of this rumor, but imagine this. You'll discover that the number plate on your unit looks like it has been pried open. The screw holes are scratched. That kind of fear, not knowing where you actually are, might be more devastating than any paranormal phenomenon. Are these legends true or false? No one dares to confirm. But when you actually step into Bela Vista Villa, you will find that some things cannot be explained by logic. In the fall of 2015, a freelance photographer named Jun decided to go to Bela Vista Villa to shoot the sunrise. He did not believe in the paranormal. He just thought the ocean. View there was beautiful and wanted to post some landscape photos on Instagram. He booked one night online, did not think much of it, and took the ferry to Cheung Chau alone. What follows is his account, given during an interview after the incident. I arrived around 4 in the afternoon and walked along, 躺湾路的 for about 15 minutes. The farther I walked, the quieter it got. By the time I reached Bela Vista Villa, there was no one around. Cheung picked up the key and walked to his unit. The number plate read B12. But when he looked closely, he noticed the plate seemed to have been pried open. The screw holes were scratched. At the time, I thought maybe it is just old and worn. He pushed open the door. A musty smell hit him. The room was dark. The curtains were half drawn. He turned on the light. The bulb flickered twice before stabilizing. I went out to the balcony. The view was incredible. The entire Cyclone Channel stretched out before me. I thought this was worth the trip. But when he came back inside and started setting up his camera equipment, he noticed something. There was an old television in the room. The plug was pulled out. It sat on a cabinet covered in dust. I ignored it and kept unpacking. Jun, check out, and got ready to rest. He set an alarm, planning to wake up at 5 in the morning to shoot the sunrise. I slept for about 2 hours, then suddenly woke up. The room was bright. He opened his eyes and saw the television screen glowing faintly blue. I shut up. The TV clearly had no plug. How could it be on? He walked over. On the screen, faint static flickered, the light jumping frame by frame. No sound, no image. Just static. I reached out and touched the plug socket. It was really unblocked. I checked the back of the TV. There were not even any batteries, but it was on. Jun says he stared at the screen for a long time, then suddenly heard a faint buzzing sound, as if someone was trying to speak through the static. I immediately walked away and went to the bathroom to wash my face. Jun went to the bathroom, cupped some cold water, and splashed it on his face. He lifted his head and looked at himself in the mirror. At that moment, I saw myself in the mirror, but the background was wrong. Behind him was clearly a white wall, but in the mirror, he saw a flash of bright red. As if someone dressed in red was standing behind him. I spun around immediately. Nothing, just the white wall. He looked back at the mirror. The red was gone. My whole body broke out in goosebumps. I thought, please let morning come quickly. Jun returned to the room and sat on the edge of the bed, not daring to sleep again. He opened his phone, trying to read the news to distract himself. After a while, He looked up and noticed something. His slippers were gone. I clearly kicked them off beside the bed, left them messy. But now, the slippers were not there. He got off the bed and searched. He looked under the bed, by the cabinet. Then he saw them. The slippers were neatly placed by the balcony door, toes pointing outside, pointing toward the ocean. I had not moved those slippers. I had not walked to the balcony, but there they were, as if someone had worn them and then taken them off at the door. Jun says, at that moment, he felt intense unease. He did not dare approach. He just sat back down on the bed, staring at the sleepers. I sat there for a long time, maybe half an hour. Then I heard footsteps in the hallway. Slow footsteps. One step. Another step. Heavy, coming from far away, getting closer and closer. Jun says he held his breath and stared at the door. The footsteps stopped right outside his door. I looked at the gap under the door and saw shadows moving, as if someone was standing outside. But no one knocked. No one spoke, just standing there quietly. I do not know how long it lasted. Maybe a minute, maybe 5 minutes. Then the footsteps slowly walked away. Jun says at that moment, he knew he could not stay any longer. I decided to pack up and leave. But the moment I stood up, I suddenly felt dizzy. Jun says he felt a strong wave of vertigo. His vision went black. When I woke up again, I found myself sitting on the balcony floor. He had no memory of how he got there. All he knew was that he was sitting on the cold tiles of the balcony, his back against the wall. I looked out at the balcony. The wind was strong and cold. I did not know how long I had been sitting there. He glanced at his phone. 4:45 a.m. I had lost about 15 minutes of memory. Jun immediately rushed back into the room, grabbed his backpack and camera, left everything else behind, and ran out of Bela Vista Villa. I ran all the way to the pier. The sky was starting to lighten. I sat at the pier, waiting for the first ferry. My whole body was shaking. He says, after that night, he never looked at those photos again. He deleted every photo he took at Bela Vista Villa. He even sold the camera. Some places, once you go there, you leave something behind, or you bring something back. Jun says for the next few months, he had recurring nightmares. He would dream of sitting on the balcony floor, facing the pitch-black ocean. And the most terrifying part was not what I saw. It was the feeling of losing control. You do not know what you did. You do not know if you are still yourself. Bela Vista Villa is no longer just a geographic location. It has become an urban totem in the collective memory of Hong Kong, representing despair, irreversible regret, and a family after family torn apart. You can say it is all superstition. You can say it is all psychological. But what cannot be denied is this. For more than 3 decades, Bela Vista Villa has carried too much tragedy and accumulated too much resentment. And behind every tragedy is a life that was once vibrant, and a wound that will never heal. Today, Bela Vista Villa still stands. The view remains. The waves remain. But the people who look at the view can never return to who they were. If you ever go to Cheung Chau and pass by Bela Vista Villa, stop for a moment. Look at that ocean. Not to feel the terror, but to remember. Every tragedy was once a person with a smile, with dreams, with family. May the departed rest in peace. May the living cherish life. If you or someone you know is facing emotional distress or thoughts of ending your life, please seek help immediately. Remember, no problem is unsolvable. No darkness is too deep to pass through. You are not alone. There is always someone willing to listen. There is always someone willing to help.